It is time to open up Sportsmemo podcast for this week with Teddy covers NFL opening line report. Excited to hear your analysis, Teddy. Welcome to the show.
Hey, great to be here, Drew.
I'm sure you're a little excited to be on the podcast, Teddy. I mean, what are you now? 17-3, 85% plus 15 units on the NFL college football season. Hats off to you.
I appreciate it, man, but it's a long way to go, man. It's been a very nice start. We had a lot of right sides again this last weekend, but you know how this business is, Drew. The minute you start to smell, oh, yeah, I'm running great. Oh, yeah, no. You start to cut corners, and no. It's all rear view mirror, man. I've done good. I've had a good start, but, Sunday, Saturday night when the games are over, you get your work done. Sunday morning before the games start, you get your work done. Sunday night, last night I had a 9-hour session after the games are over. That's the only way I know how to do it, man, is you just stay grounded. You don't worry about what just happened. You focus only on what's going to happen. And, it's been a great start. 15 units in a couple of weeks. It's always nice for the clients. I'm glad everybody's happy right now. It's good for my bankroll as well. But I'm not worried about that. That's all history. It's about what can I do this weekend moving forward. So good start. Hey, it was a good, week one. It was a good week two. And we'll see if we can keep it moving and going forward into week 3 of the NFL and week 4 of college this week.
Absolutely, Teddy. Don't change much, man. 17-3. Great way to start off the season. This is the NFL opening line report. We'll be doing this every single Monday throughout the NFL regular season. We got 289-290 tonight, though, Teddy, because this is Monday Night Football. Seattle, Chicago, 42.5 the total, 4.5 now. Maybe a 5 or 2 out there in the marketplace. Do you have any opinion here on the Seahawks and Bears tonight?
Yeah, we've seen money come in on Chicago, and now we're seeing a little buyback on Seattle. This line was definitely 4.5, 5 everywhere yesterday, and now this morning we're seeing some 4s back out there, particularly at some leading indicator books like Westgate or Bookmaker, both down to 4, Canner's down to 4, South Point's down to 4. So at the current number, we are seeing two-way action on this game. We have seen under money. Was it 43.5? Bet down to 43, and now 42.5. The prevailing numbers out there. I'm involved on the total on this game, so you can get it right now at sportsmemo.com. Fully guaranteed. If it doesn't win, you will get additional service for free. You can call the office toll-free 1-800-575-3069 to get on board.
All right, good stuff on tonight's game. And, yeah, Teddy's NFL and college football season, we just actually discounted it on the site. No need to call, email in, or anything like that. It's discounted on sportsmemo.com under a dime. You can get it through the Super Bowl here with Teddy. But on to the NFL opening line report podcast for next week. Well, actually Thursday of this week. We got New York Jets, Cleveland. 39 now the total, so it's being bet down a full point, and looks like 3 Cleveland laying at home. Teddy, any opinion on the opening line here?
Sure. So what I'm going to do with all of these games, I'm going to give the look-ahead line. This was the bettable line on this game before the games were played on Sunday. So that gives you an idea of how much the markets have reacted to a single week's performance. I'm also going to give you my power rating number for these two teams. So Browns and the Jets, the look-ahead line was Cleveland minus 1.5. My power rating number is Cleveland minus 1. And yet the Jets are sitting here as 3-point underdogs. I understand from a situational spot. The Jets play Monday night, then they play Sunday, then they play Thursday night on the road. We obviously saw a road team last week unprepared to play on a Thursday night. It's tough to get a young QB ready on a short week, especially with travel. I can understand why this line is sitting at 3, especially after the Browns almost pulled off another upset against the Saints yesterday. But Cleveland found a way to lose that game, which is what they've done. And we're talking about a team that is now 32-1 in their last 34 ball games, and they're laying a field goal. So, it looks like it's going to hold at 3. I don't see any leading indicator money towards the Jets. We have seen a little bit of under money. I think that is a lot. The Browns are a dead nuts under team. They really are. I know that Taylor hit a bomb on 4th down in the end zone yesterday to tie the game and what should have won it for Cleveland. But that's the exception rather than the rule. Cleveland, good defense, dink and dunk offense. You can understand, of course, the Jets with a rookie QB. Darnold Darnold's taking a lot of heat. I thought he played pretty well in stretches against the Dolphins. I came away with that performance, even though I had to cash a ticket with Miami. I came away with that performance impressed with Sam Darnold, even more than I was from the opening night game against the Lions. He had some really nice throws. So I'll tell you flat out, I'm looking at the Jets plus on Thursday, even though the situation says maybe you don't get to the window. I don't know if I'm going to get to the window with it, but that's the only way I can look. Sorry, that was long.
No, it's fine. I was going to ask you about that stat. It was 131-1 their last 33, and they're laying 3.
Yeah, it's got to be worse than that though. They have one. Don't they have one? They have one win the last 2 years, and they have their own 0-1 this year. So they would be 130, whatever it is. Yeah, they're pretty bad.
Yeah, that's crazy. Now they're laying 3. That's kind of a wild one here. So, Teddy, I'm kind of new to this NFL opening line report. I'm not seeing a line on Indy Philly. I'll let you take over.
Sure. Look ahead line here, and I believe there was none, but let me just check. No, there was a look ahead line. Look ahead line here was 7 for Philadelphia. My powering number is Eagles 8.5. The question is Carson Wentz, whether Wentz is going to go or whether Foles is going to go. The early reports is that Wentz could be back this week. I don't know that he's going to affect the power rating in any significant way in his first game back, but we are seeing there's one book that has a number up over here, an offshore book that likes to post for every game, and they're sitting at Philly -6 right now. And remember, Eagles were 3 in Tampa, and everyone's like, that's short. Why are the Eagles power rated so low? And here, look ahead 7, my powering number above 8. We got a book coming with 6. Market's not very high on Philadelphia right now, for whatever that's worth.
Teddy, we got 463, 464, Cincy, Carolina. Looks like the Panthers laying 3 at home, 43 the total right now.
Look ahead line, Carolina -4.5. Powering number, my powering number is Carolina -4. And yet we're seeing 3s, and the first bets have come on Cincinnati, plus the points in this ball game. And again, the one thing the Panthers are, they are a banged-up football team. And the injury report coming out of the game against Atlanta was pretty ugly. So that's something I want to check, and obviously maybe why my number is a little bit higher than the market number on this ball game. And look, we saw a lot of sharp money come in right before kickoff on Cincinnati last Thursday night. All that money cashed in. The books anticipating the wise guys maybe on Cincinnati again here. And, unlike Carolina, the Bengals are a fairly healthy team right now. And the market's certainly reacting to that, of course, Cincy with the extra time to prepare as well. Another reason why this number sitting at 3 and perhaps going lower. There is one prominent 2.5 out there.
Teddy, moving down, we got Tennessee, Jacksonville. Jacksonville looked good, but I'm not seeing a line here. What's up with this one?
Yeah, there was no look-ahead line. Mariota, questionable. My powering number with Gabbert is Jags -8.5. There's one book that has a number up at 6.5 right now for Jags, so I'm not even convinced that's a real number or not. But as we see, and again, they won a game with Gabbert behind center. It's a Jaguars team that is now, they don't know if we're going to have Fournette this week. Fournette was hurt. The leading receiver out, left tackle hurt, and coming off their biggest game of the season. So I can't imagine we're going to see a ton of love for the Jaguars in this ball game, even if Mariota is out for Tennessee. Circumstantially, this isn't a Jag spot, and I'm sure the wise guys will recognize that.
Teddy, a big one in the NFC South. New Orleans visited in Atlanta, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, 53 the total. Looks like the Falcons laying 3, little bit of juice at home.
Yeah, look ahead line was Atlanta 3. My powering number is only 2.5, and that tells me my power rating's wrong. Maybe. The Saints. The Saints probably deserve to be devalued now after 2. They should have lost to Cleveland yesterday. They really should have lost that game. And when that comes on the heels of, the week 1 debacle for the Saints, it doesn't look as bad. Tampa was throwing deep against everybody, and they threw deep against Philly yesterday. But game on the line, fourth quarter, Saints defense, 4th down. What happens? The ball goes over their head and into the end zone for a touchdown. So Falcons solved some of their red zone woes. Well, they solved all their red zone woes. They went 4 for 4 with their red zone opportunities, including Matt Ryan's wild helicopter touchdown to give them the win and cover. But there's Atlanta in a game they pretty much dominated. The middle stages of that game, they were firmly in control. And lo and behold, fourth quarter, game on the line. They can't get a first down. The play calling gets conservative. And there's Carolina chucking in the end zone on the final play of the game, which I think has some bettors concerned about laying a price with Atlanta from a sense of urgency here. New Orleans, off the two crappy performances. And the Saints were such a good road team last year. We think of the Saints as being have a great home field edge. Look at their numbers in recent seasons, and you'll see they've got a great road edge of late. I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of New Orleans money. We've already seen a little bit of New Orleans money. This opened 3.5 in a lot of places, and now down to 3, although it's not going to get any lower than that.
Teddy, moving on to 469, 470, we got Denver, Baltimore. Looks like the Ravens laying 4.5 or 5 at home, 43 the total.
Yeah, look headline was Baltimore minus 5.5. My powering number is Baltimore minus 5.5. The markets are Baltimore minus 5 at most books right now. So we're all kind of, we haven't seen a big adjustment. Baltimore, extra time to prepare off a bad loss. Denver, off a West Coast team or traveling east, coming off a very satisfying divisional victory and a 2-0 record. I can't anticipate we're going to see a ton of Broncos money in this ballgame. I really don't. I would think we're more likely to see Ravens money, but realistically, it's probably going to sit in this 4 or 4.5, 5, 5.5 range all week long. Total wise, sitting at 43. There's been a little bit of over money, but very little. And frankly, I wouldn't be betting the Broncos over right now with your money. They're not. They're Denver's defense is better than their offense. I'll just put it that way. And, that was on full display again yesterday, although even the pass defense yesterday got lit up pretty good.
Teddy, we got New York football Giants at Houston. Eli Manning against this Houston defense. Looks like Houston laying 5.5 at Chris, 6 pretty much everywhere else, 41.5 the total.
Look ahead line was 4.5 on the Texans. My party number is 5.5 on the Texans. This is the easiest game on the board for me as a handicap because there ain't no freaking way I'm putting my money on the Giants, and there ain't no freaking way I'm laying points with the Texans. So it's the easiest path on the board for this better. Now, of course, the Giants got waxed on national TV. Giants are, went 3-13 last year, and they're 0-2 this year, and they're still being priced competitively. And at some point, the market's going to crash on this team. But maybe we'll see signs of it. But of course, the fact they're playing this week, but the fact that they're playing a team that's every bit as disappointing as they are. And you want to talk about a coach whose seat is getting just hotter. That's Bill O'Brien in Houston. The decision making for the Texans, the level of execution, the use of timeouts, the stuff that coach is supposed to take care of, hasn't been there for the Texans. Very hard team for me to lay 5.5, 6 points with, even against a crappy squad like the Giants that are now. The Giants are 3-15 straight up in their last 18 ball games. And I didn't even go back to 2016. I forget what they did December that year, but there was a little bit of love for the G-men in the markets to start. That love has gone. Although you think about the fundamental here, the Giants' offensive line has been a disaster, and Eli Manning is an aging quarterback who has nothing going right now. The Texans say, "Oh, look at that pass rush; they're loaded." They had like 2 pressures yesterday against Tennessee. The Texans' pass rush has not lived up to expectations.
Yeah, the weak offensive line and Eli Manning back there just doesn't seem like a good combination, Teddy.
No, and it hasn't been for the G-men. Again, you look at Saquon Barkley. All right, you say, all right, we need a running game to set up Eli for the passing game. Barkley had the 168-yard rush, and like his other 28 carries, he has like 66 yards. He's not even getting 3 yards a carry, which is fairly typical for a team that can't block on the offensive line. And if you can't block on the offensive line for a QB like Manning and the running game isn't there, Pat Shurmur, that aggressive play caller in Minnesota, see what he did yesterday, 4th and inches. Oh, we got Saquon Barkley. We took him with the number 2 overall pick. Let's punt from midfield. That telling us very clearly that this offensive line is not a unit that anybody in the Giants trust right now.
Yeah, shaky call there. We got 473, 474 Oakland, Miami. The Raiders traveling east here. Looks like the Dolphins laying 3 at home, 43.5 the total, Teddy.
The look-ahead line here was 4. My powering number was 3.5. Carr had an incredible day yesterday. He only threw 3 incompletes. Up and down the field, he was as accurate as I've ever seen him. And the Raiders scored 19 points and lost.
Yeah, that was a crazy game.
That's not a good sign. When your quarterback plays as well as he can play, and you score 19 points and lose, the Dolphins' defense is not an elite unit by any stretch of the imagination, and Oakland certainly taking a step down in defensive class after facing the Rams and the Broncos the first 2 weeks. And Miami offensively, look, I like this Dolphins team. I thought they were a decent candidate to get off to a good start. That's why the clients and I have Dolphins over season win tickets in our pocket. It was largely schedule related, and I thought they'd be better with Tannehill, and they are. And I thought they were buying into Gase, and they are. The markets aren't there with this team yet. There was a 4 at the opener here. There were lots of 3.5s. Betting markets have bet them down to 3, although it doesn't look like it's going to go any lower than that.
Teddy, we got Green Bay, Washington. Looks like the Redskins actually getting 3 at home. So, Green Bay laying 3 on the road, 47.5 the total. What do you got on this one?
Yeah, there was no look-ahead line on this ball game because nobody knew what was going to happen with Aaron Rodgers last week, and he obviously played well. And that's why we have a line for the game up here. My powering number on this game came Green Bay -3. Most of the markets are at 3 right now. There's a couple shops with 2.5s and juice 47.5 the total. We've seen basically no movement on this total at all. And, kind of a weird game yesterday in which, there have been a lot of calls that have been head scratchers when it comes to the new defensive rules. The one yesterday where Clay Matthews got the penalty against Kirk Cousins was pretty egregious as a bad call. And I don't know how else you say it. I don't know how else you do it. It's back-to-back weeks that Matthews had a key penalty in the latter stages of the ball game, and with the game on the line, and that turned the game. Packers win that game. If Matthews doesn't get called for that flag, instead it ends up being a frustrating tie for both teams. But that's the kind of call that come December you say, did that call just decide the division? You don't like to see the refs in that spot. The Redskins stunk yesterday. Boy, Indy took it to him. Really had a, and I was more impressed or more concerned about the Redskins' offense and their defense. The Colts were able to move the ball fairly effectively in that contest. They had washing off balance, but this is not a great Colts defense. And for the Redskins to struggle to move the football in that game, the receivers didn't get separation. The running game wasn't there. Their offensive line got beat up. That's not supposed to happen against Indy. That's a red flag for me. I'm surprised this number is as short as it is. You know where the public's going to be on this ball game. But the Redskins off a no-show at home. Sandwich spot off a Week 1 win. We have seen Washington play fairly well in the home dog role, Jay Gruden era. But, 3, 2.5, I don't think the number's going to move more towards 2.5. I think it'll be 3 everywhere, at least, by kickoff.
Obviously, Teddy knows this stuff. Teddy off to a hot start this year in the NFL. Teddy, I got a question for you here. This is the biggest number on the board by far. Minnesota laying 16.5. There's actually 17s popping up now at home. 40.5 the total. 1, your opinion on this game, but 2, also, how do you change your handicap with these large numbers in the NFL?
With the large numbers in the NFL, so for example, I cashed a big ticket on the Rams, laying 13 against Arizona yesterday. And the concept there is strong offense, strong defense. I want the back door. I want the back door closed, and I want to make sure that the offense is capable of big strikes and putting up points in bunches. The Rams certainly have that. Vikings don't. All right, look at this total, 40.5. And again, remember, what's the goal of any point spread? The goal of any point spread for any bookmaker, they're not looking to take opinions with NFL numbers. They want to generate two-way action. They want some people to bet the Bills and some people to bet the Vikings. That reduces their liability. And there will be opinions on games at times, and the books will often have a rooting interest. But the goal of a number like Minnesota minus 16.5 is to attract some Buffalo money. Because otherwise there would be no Buffalo money. There was basically no Buffalo money last week against the Chargers. The books got beaten up badly on that game. Look ahead line here was 15. My powering number is 17. The market's sitting at 16.5. The Vikings are not an easy team to lay this price with. They cannot run the football. Back-to-back weeks, the offensive line for Minnesota has been badly outplayed. And I know Cousins made some incredible throws. Yeah, whatever. The throw to Thielen in the end zone to tie the game was lucky. That was lucky. There's two defenders right there, and the ball somehow finds the one tiny little window that the guy can catch it. You say, oh, what a great throw. Yeah, it was lucky. So I'm worried about the Vikings offensive line. And I'll say this for the Bills. After falling behind 28-3, the defense stepped up in the second half after McDermott stripped Leslie Frazier of his play calling duties at halftime. That being said, they're going to struggle to attract Buffalo money. I wouldn't be surprised at all. We got 14 weeks left in the season. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see the Bills be money winners over the final 14 weeks just because the markets have devalued this squad significantly. And if the Bills even play competitive football, halfway competitive football, they're going to cover some numbers.
Yeah, and you said something there that I try to look for in teams that, or I guess you could say under the radar and could be money makers towards the end of the season is they didn't quit, and that's what you're getting at?
Well, it's a home opener. If they quit, it was, it's a pretty significant problem.
Yeah.
The defense, the defense shut them down in the second half. Let's see if there's more of that this week from the Bills. The Bills' defense wasn't supposed to be this bad. Their offense was. That was very clear. Their defense wasn't. And the defense has given up 10 touchdowns and 10 red zone tries. That's not a good ratio, Drew.
No.
And it speaks to effort. And when you have, Vontae Davis quitting at halftime and all of that, it might be circle the wagons time for the Buffalo Bills. This number, 16.5, I don't think it goes up. I think the wise guys aren't going to lay 17 with Minnesota flat out.
Makes sense, Teddy. Hey, we got a 479-480 San Francisco, Kansas City. Looks like KC laying 6 at home, 55.5 the total. Teddy, we got a phenomenon here with Patrick Mahomes and going up against another big name, Jimmy G, making some, off the field news this offseason. But anyway, we got San Francisco, KC. How do you read it?
What off the field news did Jimmy G have? He signed a fat contract. Did he marry someone or something?
No, he did go on a date with like a porn star, and it made national news. But other than that, no, nothing crazy.
Yeah, I'm not watching my TMZ. Sorry, man. I'm just not. I can't get enough of it. Niners and the Chiefs. What? Okay, last week in this very space, I said emergency betting alert. If you like Kansas City over, run. Don't walk to the betting window. I will say the same thing again here. If you like Kansas City over, and many bettors do, what do we see? 66 week 1 and 79 week 2 in Chiefs games. That defense is spotty, and good passing games are going to move the football against Kansas City. That offense is a phenomenon right now. There's a reason that we bet the Chiefs over their season win total coming into the season. There's a reason we told everyone to take Kansas City and make a bet on them to win the division. In that same write-up, we've been very high on Kansas City, and the clients and I have cashed tickets with the Chiefs in each of the first 2 weeks, and there wasn't that much sweat about KC. That being said, very different role for the Chiefs now. They're 2-0, fat and happy, returning home and laying with a bad defense. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see, and the early money's come on KC, the phenomenon team, and of course San Fran. They haven't covered a point spread yet, and they deserve better yesterday. Boy, there was a lot of talk in that 49ers locker room yesterday. Saw a great quote after the game. Yeah, we won. Richard Sherman said it. In fact, yeah, we won, but it felt like we lost. They were up 30-13 and had to hang on. In fact, they had to get a phantom penalty against the Lions to even escape with the victory at all. So do we say, is that good? They scored 30, and a lot of it was poorly defense plays. But I'll say this, I'm impressed with the scheming that Kyle Shanahan has done, and I'm impressed with the scheming that the Chiefs have done offensively. This game sure feels like another shootout for Kansas City, and the markets are only going to be betting this Chiefs team over until proven otherwise.
Teddy, we got the two LA teams squaring off. Chargers at Rams. Looks like Rams 6.5 at home, 48.5 the total.
Oh, I didn't give my power. By the way, the look-ahead line for San Fran, Kansas City was KC -4. My powering number is also KC -4, and I've been fairly high on the Chiefs, which tells you a little bit about the market exuberance for Kansas City right now. For the Chargers, Rams, look-ahead line was, I can't say LA, Rams -5.5. My powering number coming into this game is Rams -6.5. I've got the Rams power rated as the best team in the NFL, flat out. And they've certainly shown it the first 2 weeks, but they'll be stepping up in class here. Look who they played. They played an Arizona team that can't move the football, and they played an Oakland team that can't move the football, and now they're playing a Chargers team that, in theory, can move the football. Certainly will chuck it around. The Rams come in fairly healthy. So does L.A. For a change. But there's a key notice on this game, and I want to see exactly what it is. Melvin Gordon is the probable. Todd Gurley is probable. I'm not that worried about it. Worth noting, the Rams lost their kicker. Craig Zerline got hurt in warm-ups yesterday, and the punter Heckard actually kicked a field goal, but they also kept on going for 2. They didn't trust Heckard to do it, so we'll see what they do with the kicker situation this week. It could be something dicey for the Rams, and that's something better should probably be aware of. 6.5, 7. The line's going to bounce here all week. I don't see this number moving in any significant way, although I say it closes 6.5 as opposed to closing 7. So if you see the +7 with LA, I would grab it sooner rather than later.
Teddy, on this one, the two LA teams, do you give any home field advantage?
Of course. The Rams are playing in their home state. They don't play in the same place.
No, I know.
That'll be all Rams crowd there.
Okay.
The Rams are, the Chargers don't get any crowd. They have no fans in LA. When I say none, I mean, they might have literally like 5,000 or less that show up for their games, and whoever else shows up for Charger games is there. Oh, wow, an interesting ticket, or huge fans of the other team. And that's the way Chargers home games are. Rams home games are Rams home games.
Interesting. Okay. We got 483, 484, Chicago, Arizona. No line here, Teddy. Where do you want to go?
No line here. Of course, the Bears play tonight. Look-ahead lines. This look-ahead line, the first look-ahead was, looking at the Westgate was 2.5 initially. My powering number is 5, and some books have posted numbers for this game 4.5. The prevailing number. There's, the markets are crashing on Arizona right now, and deservedly so. The Cardinals' offense has looked bad is not the right word. They've looked inept through 2 games. We've got Sam Bradford once again playing on a bad team, just chucking the football for the fun of it.
Teddy, we got the other team playing tonight, hosting the Dallas Cowboys. Not seeing a line here either. Any look-ahead line you want to throw out?
Yeah, the original look-ahead line here from the Westgate last week was Seattle -3. My powering number is Seahawks -2.5, and a handful of books do have posted numbers here, and they're either 3 or 2.5. So obviously both Bears, Cardinals, and Cowboys, Seahawks will be affected by what we see tonight. And if you see a big jump off either of these two teams off the current numbers, 4, 4.5 for Chicago, 3/2.5 for Seattle. If you see a big move off either, remember, it's not both teams. It's one team that they're making the big adjustment off. So I made money last week betting against some of those big adjustments, like the Jets' big adjustment against the Dolphins, for example, and Miami was an easy choice for me there. And there may well be opportunities like that for bettors in these 2 games, Bears, Cards, and Cowboys, Seahawks.
He's Teddy Covers. Follow him on Twitter at Teddy_Covers. I'm Drew Martin. You can follow me on Twitter at DrewMartinBets. We got 2 games left here. The Sunday night game, New England Patriots at Detroit Lions. Looks like the Pats laying 6 or 6.5 on the road. 51 the total, Teddy.
Look ahead line, New England 6.5. I'm not high on Detroit, and my look ahead line here is only 5. It's not like I've got the Patriots way down or anything, and New England's been pretty darn good off a loss. Go back and look the Patriots off a loss, man. They have one of the better point spread records that I've ever seen. And I'm trying to remember the last time they lost back-to-back games. It really doesn't happen very often. The markets are, the Lions came in through the back door yesterday, down 30-13. They ended up losing 30-27, so they got the money, but they certainly weren't good. The defensive effort wasn't there. There were missed tackles, whiffed coverages, et cetera, et cetera. And Stafford, the Lions offensively had the potential to win that game, and Stafford missed 4 or 5 receivers open, just wide open, and he threw long, couldn't connect on the deep ball yesterday. All the reports of Detroit, hey, they don't like Patricia the way they like Jim Caldwell and that all sort of thing. I wonder if that's real. We're certainly not seeing the level of effort from the Lions that we would expect. Where's this number going to go? Well, you say, of course they're going to bet the Patriots over the Lions. Of course they are. Not so fast, my friend. Several leading indicator books. Penny sitting at 6. Everyone else is 6.5. Greek sitting at 6. Everyone else is 6.5. So I'm not convinced that we're going to see the wise guys load up on the Patriots. The public's going to be all over New England. If you're betting at a public book, if you're betting at a public shop, bet the Patriots right now because that line can only go up.
Guys, if you haven't checked out sportsmemo.com, check it out. Teddy's got a play going tonight on Monday Night Football. We got one game left here, Teddy. Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay. Looks like the Steelers laying 2.5 on the road, 53.5 the total. How you want to do this one?
Well, look ahead line here with Steelers -4. My powering number is pick'em. And this is your classic conundrum game. I'll tell you flat out, this is a game that you have to be like, because Tampa, remember that I was saying that Tampa line against Philly looks short. You're like, what? It's 3? Shouldn't the line be 6? It'd be at least 4.5? No, it's only 3. Why? Because maybe the Bucs are good. And the Bucs have played, well each of the first 2 weeks. They're a team that's certainly gotten their fair share of hype. You got Ryan Fitzpatrick looking like Conor McGregor up there, and they're having fun. Pittsburgh's not having any fun right now. So you make a case that, hey, the Steelers are lined as a 10.5 win team, and the Bucs are lined as a 6.5 win team, and here, look at this cheap price. Oh, that's true. How much do you? Let's put it this way: were you lining Tampa if the season started right now? Where are you lining Pittsburgh if the season started right now? If you take away preseason expectations, just say, all right, after the first 2 weeks, where would I line these two teams? Steelers ain't road chalk in this game, I'll tell you that much. So the question is, reversion to the mean? Are the Steelers going to be the team that we thought they were? Week 1 offensive problems, week 2 defensive problems. Are the Bucs going to be the team that we thought they were? Or is this, is this real? And that's what the Monday night game is all about. Are you betting, do you believe what you've seen? Is Tampa and Pittsburgh real or isn't it? And I think that alone is going to draw two-way action. I don't think the books are going to be, besieged with Steelers money or Bucks money, I should say. Despite Tampa's hot start, I think they'll get two-way action at 2.5. At 3, they probably wouldn't have. So I would expect the line to sit in this range. And if it goes in either direction, I'd say it's more likely to go down than it is to go up. There were 3s out there. Those 3s have come and gone rather quickly.
Teddy, 17-3 on the year, can get the rest of his NFL and college football season for under a dime. Obviously knows his stuff, knows the betting markets. Teddy, anything you want to throw out before we shut this down?
Yeah, I want to throw out those 3 losers.
Yeah, for sure, man.
If I could. Fucking Nebraska. What? I'm still mad at that. It's the only game I lost all weekend, and I'm still mad at it. But, look, if you're struggling, if you're looking for, I've been in Vegas. This is my 21st football season. It's not just me. There's a bunch of guys at Sportsmemo that are getting the job done in early season. If you're struggling in any way, please let us help you. Help me help you. Visit the website, sportsmemo.com, and take advantage of one of these great special offers.
Absolutely. Like Teddy said, everybody's even or in the positive. So great start for the NFL and college football season for the Sports Memo crew. Make sure to check it out, sportsmemo.com. Thanks for listening, guys.